Hello, wonderful universe. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing. Today we're doing video 13 of the Moon Mindfulness Challenge. Today the moon is in Capricorn. It's been there for about a day, and tomorrow we will have the Aquarius new moon. But today we're talking about the Capricorn moon waning. So the last time we checked in, it was a new moon, so there was a space for growth and energy. This moon has a different energy. It's one of more of releasing, letting go, emptying. And so it's, again, a good time whenever something's waning is to really let things go and just what comes, comes, and getting ready for a building phase, knowing that it's coming. It is January 30th, 2022, just for a little check-in with the date here. And as I said in my last video, so I did 12 videos, 12 signs, one round, and I did in the middle of the video a check-in on what you can do for that sign. I'm going to do something different every month, as I said, and this month is going to be the phrase for the sign and how it can maybe be incorporated with the moon, but really just the embodiment of the phrase. And I think it can be a great way to tap into that sign, its energy, and maybe even be empowered if it's something that energy that's a little bit harder for you or maybe lacking in your chart, just kind of trying to understand it. It's a little bit of an educational piece. But with that, let's begin. So first, it's my check-in, what's been going on as far as the Capricorn moon. How has it been affecting me? I can say once again, it does feel like I've been very productive, but I've enjoyed it. I don't feel like it's a sense of drudgery or restriction, which sometimes can be denoted with Capricorn as it's really persistent. I feel like it's a celebration, and I feel like that's a positive aspect of Capricorn. It finds joy in getting things done and creating and building and knowing it's okay that I may not get done right away. Sometimes I have a little bit of an issue with that because I want to get everything done all the time really fast, and going slow is not necessarily my speed, but I've been really appreciating the Capricorn energy going, slow down, and guess what? You're building something stronger. When you move fast, you don't end up with a strong foundation, and I'm really appreciating the strong foundation aspect of Capricorn right now. I also feel like I'm starting to see some of the seeds of my hard work pay off. It's not fully fruited yet, just like the moon, it's waning. There's a sense there, I'm feeling it. And I like that. Sometimes it does get hard. You do wonder, is all this hard work paying off? And you can get a little down in the dumps, or I should say maybe I do, maybe not everybody, but I've just had a sense of hope with that. Also, I've been really feeling calm and centered, and I talked about this in one of my videos, I think partly because I get to have a little bit of space from a lot of public interaction during part of my week. And I'm having some, but I'm not having intense amounts where I have it in certain parts of my week. And I'm realizing how much I'm affected by other people's feelings and emotions once again. And so I'm having more of a sense of calm and centered once I'm away from larger masses of people. So that's my main check-in. I hope you check in with yourself. This is the goal, real-time astrology, and you check in. If you're feeling it, write some comments down below. Let me know and others know how you're experiencing this Capricorn moon. So the phrase is, since we're talking about, bringing some new information in here for Capricorn, I use. When I saw this phrase, I did a little bit of research, and I knew a lot of the phrases for some of the signs, but not all of them, and Capricorn was one of them. And I had to sit with this because I did a little research, took other people's takes on it, and it was like, what's my take on this? And at first, I have to say, some of my beliefs and my patterns came up, and I thought, I use, that sounds nasty. It's like, it sounded like I take in my head. And so, again, that's me projecting my thoughts and feelings. But so I had to step back and realize that was my filter, and it wasn't the right filter to look at this. So I took it back, and I use Capricorn builds. It builds things, it creates things. And, to build things and create things, you need to use materials, thoughts, time, all these different aspects. You need to use these things to do this. And it doesn't have to be a nasty word, which I first described to. It can be something that's it just is. It's a fact. And it gave me a little bit more respect for that, because I do use things to create things, and maybe I'm not thinking about what I'm using. So really trying to engage that Capricorn energy, because Capricorn knows when to use and when not to use. It realizes that in the positive aspect, it realizes that resources are not infinite, and that at times you may need to restrict what you use so that you have it for the future. And that really opened me up to the phrase, and it really empowered me to think about that. And also, just like I said, honoring the materials and the time and the thought and the energy that I am using to create things and all the things around me. It really gives me a sense of reverence, and it also connects me back to source, but also the earth and energy. And so I was delightfully surprised by that. One of the phrases I thought about when I was meditating on this was, how do you use your feelings? Since we're talking about the moon, do they build something? Are you creating something, relationships, a foundation for yourself to have a solid base for you to work from when you're going through the day, having a solid emotional standpoint? Or do you use emotions and not give back? Say you're using your emotional energy to evoke others' energies, and then it causes trouble. You know, that's something to think about. How are you using your energy in your day with yourself and with others? So with that, I think that's really the core of I use, or at least how I took it. It can be a really positive thing. And so I was thinking about some of maybe the shadow aspects, and I guess with this phrase, it could mean two things I use a lot, but with Capricorn, and not giving back. But with Capricorn, usually when it's using things, it's building something, and that something is big, and it serves society, and it gives back. So the shadow part is what you're building or creating and using materials for. Is it not giving back? Is it just for you? Then it does become kind of a take situation and not a give and take situation. The other aspect that I think is maybe more plausible with the I use phrase is I use and then I keep and I hoard, and I'm a little scared to let go because I need to keep this for the future always, right? I'm not sure what's going to happen, and there might be a scarcity. And so being able to let go of some of the materials used or put it into a creation could definitely be a challenge for this phrase. And by this, I mean the Capricorn energy. Something to tap into for sure. After I thought about it, I was really delightfully surprised that it brought these images and thoughts and feelings up with me. So we're going to talk about aspects. Now, today, first, we're just going to talk about the moon aspects, or today's moon aspects to planets and suns. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the larger picture. It's kind of, like we said, it's a Capricorn season. Even though we're in the Aquarius sun right now, it is multiple planets in Capricorn. So first aspect, though, with the moon in Capricorn is it is sextile to Neptune in Pisces. And so I was like, a sense of maybe feeling emotionally secure and the things that you have with Capricorn, the positive aspects that we talked about. And then Pisces bringing in the dream. So, you may be working really hard on something right now and you're feeling that. And I feel like Pisces is just bringing in positive energy, saying like, you can see that the light at the end of the tunnel, like that dream is there and this hard work is going to pay off. It may not be instant, but it gives light and hope to that Capricorn energy, whereas sometimes it's like, I'm just doing this, and is this going to pay off? That Pisces energy with the Neptune and Pisces energy, I mean, it's both, is just like, yeah, this is going to pay off and it's going to be something good and big. Maybe not right now, but it's going to really be something beautiful. So I really liked that aspect. So then we have today, it's a double conjunction. First, the moon will conjunct Mercury, and then the moon will conjunct Pluto today. And I had to think about this because there's lots of things going on, like I said, with the planets. And so I kind of thought about it in reverse because Mercury is going retrograde, and like what's happening today overall in this house, or not this house, this sign. There's a story being told here. And so I kind of flipped it because Pluto is at the end of Capricorn. It's at the later degrees. I believe it's 26 degrees. And so it's gone through Capricorn. It's done its work. It's not quite done. But it's really at the tail end of all of this transformation of responsibility and structure, and looking at it and just kind of digging out the pus of old and outdated ways, and for ourselves and for the larger whole. And so it's still kind of picking things up. But what happened is Mercury went through Capricorn, then hit Aquarius, and kind of saw like, okay, all right, the transformation can be, I'm bringing this information to the Aquarian side so we can bring it out to the world and how we can change things. But then Mercury went retrograde, and it's like, okay, I think I need to revisit some ideas. So Mercury went over Pluto just a few days ago and picked up, and it's like, oh, maybe there's a little bit more information in here. There's a few more things I need to know, and I'm going to communicate this with the other planets. So Mercury went and dug deep a few days ago with Pluto again. It's like, oh, there's a little bit more that we need to think about as far as changing these structures. And then it is coming back and now hitting the moon. It's bringing that information to our emotions, to ourselves, to our physicality. So I see this as, there was an energy of movement with Pluto and digging deep. Then Mercury was the thinking. And so the thinking is bringing thought to the feeling. So a new way of processing, not just a thought and an action, but an actual embodiment of processing. It's like, how is this affecting me? How do I feel about all this change? Is this good? You can also use thought too, because since Mercury is conjunct today, that's one of those aspects. It's like, what do I think? What do I feel? And there's going to be maybe some emotions around this. It could be deep emotions. Mercury itself is not deep. However, the Pluto energy is, and the moon will then, after getting those thoughts that Mercury dug up from Pluto, and then it's going to feel Pluto itself. It's going to be conjuncting it, and it's going to be maybe a little bit of catharsis, just getting it out. I'm trying to think if it could be empowerment too. I think on the positive aspect and empowerment, it's like, oh, I've got the information now. I think I know what I need to do. But there's a process work going on there, and maybe there's some anger coming up. Who knows? It could be so many things. What's deep inside of you where maybe you were too hard on yourself with structures and rules. It could be other people too imposing structures on you. It's just so many things, but something's coming up, something's coming out, and it is being processed today and in the next few days for certain, especially around authority, structure, rules, and maybe even restrictions. But there's always the sense of growth coming through. This is going to be a deep transformation once these planets get out of there. It's going to be a couple weeks, but enjoy it. The other thing that's happening is, so Venus went direct. So this doesn't involve the moon, but it involves Capricorn, and this is playing into this story. So I should say, the planet dug deep in itself, and it said, I'm not going to be nice right now. I'm not going to bring everybody together. I need to think about what I desire and need for my own self. Say you need to redo structures in your life, or you don't like the other structures in your life that have been imposed upon you. That planet knows now, and it's going to go through again where since it moves forward, it's going to go right over where it went back. So it's revisiting, but it's now got a sense of what it wants, what it desires. And I think it's going to be a little more exclusive than it was the first time around, because it now has kind of cut out some of the things that it's like, I don't desire that. And I think that that's a positive thing for Venus. Sometimes Venus just wants it all to be feeling good and bring it all together. And sometimes it does not need to be all together, and some of it just needs to go. So Venus is bringing in the sense of desire for this restructuring that we've been talking about. And then, we talked about this earlier, Mars is in the very early degrees of Capricorn. And as the weeks roll on, it's not making any aspects directly to what's the other planets in Capricorn right now, but it is going to bring about some movement and change. It's going to help bring about movement of the desires, not the feelings, the moon's going to be gone, but it's going to bring about movement in desires and thought and transformation. It's going to really shake things up. It's going to really bring the fire to everything else that's happening. And it's like, it's time to move this stuff. It's time to groove this stuff. And it might seem abrupt, or it might seem pleasantly abrupt, where it's like, okay, yes, I'm done now. And you feel good about letting it go because maybe you were waiting or you didn't feel like you had the courage. And Mars is just like, cut the cords, move on, be your own leader. So it's going to be pretty wild and dynamic. And I feel like that I had to share that story because we're going to feel it in the next few weeks. We're going to experience it. It's a collective thing. It's not just one person. It's going to be different in everybody's chart. Remember, your chart is unique. You may have a lot of planets in Capricorn or aspects, so it could be affecting you much different than someone next to you. And the overall feeling from this was a little less glamorous like today, and because there's so much in Capricorn and even in Aquarius where Glamour is not the thing necessarily. It's about doing the work. There are some things in Pisces which brings the glamour and it brings the hope, and we will move into Pisces season, you know, in a month and a half, less than a month and a half actually, very soon. But that the main aspects and planets won't be focused in Pisces for a little bit. So it's something to think about. There's a little less glamour and a little more rolling your sleeves up and doing the work. And that's okay. Sometimes the work has to get done. And I think there'll be really good positive things that come out of it. So with that, if you like my videos, subscribe, hit like, give me comments, join me on this. It's really about the real-time astrology, how we're connecting. It's so important, especially right now. The world in general is very ungrounded and very focused in on connecting to technology and thought, and that's a beautiful thing, but we are also on this planet and we need to remember to connect our 2 feet on the ground. With that, I'm Jennifer of Eureka Astrology and Healing. Ciao for now.